team corrupted the London Games on an unprecedented scale.
A new report finds over 1,000 Russian athletes were involved in a doping test conspiracy, spanning multiple Olympic and World Championship games.
Climate change is a reality in North America, in particular in the north, where the strongest warming trends are being felt.
The PM Premier is joined by special guest U.S. VP Joe Biden are finalizing a national climate change strategy. The plan paves the way to meet Canada's 2030 target to reduce greenhouse gases. An investigation is underway after 7 penguins were found dead at the Calgary Zoo. They appear to have drowned, which has some experts calling it a mystery. Hi, and welcome to Humber News. I'm Alyssa Souza-Grapal, coming to you from our newsroom here at Humber College North Campus. A historic meeting today in Ottawa. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and Canada's First Ministers are finalizing details of a new national climate change strategy. And a special guest is U.S. Vice President Joe Biden.
Climate change is a reality in North America, in particular in the north, where the strongest warming trends are being felt.
We have only 3 options. We can mitigate, we can adapt, or we can suffer.
The leaders are meeting to discuss climate change and whether Canada will impose a carbon tax. Trudeau says climate change is not a single commitment, but a global issue. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump says he disagrees with having a carbon tax, but Biden says he's optimistic that once Trump is sworn in, the U.S. will continue along the path to combat climate change. A new report says the Russians have been hijacking international sport for years. Part 2 of the McLaren report was released today. It says more than 1,000 Russian athletes across 30 sports were involved in a doping scandal.
Coaches and athletes have been playing on an uneven field. Sports fans and spectators have been deceived. It's time that stops. Yes, stops.
The second part of the McLaren report brought to light new details of the Russian doping scandal and the systematic cover-up by Russian officials. It's still unknown how long the state-sponsored doping scheme has been happening, but the latest details show that urine samples were tampered with by Russian officials in the Sochi and London Olympics. Positive doping results from Russian athletes were hidden by switching them for clean samples and altering them. In the news conference this morning, McLaren said that the Russian Olympic team corrupted the London Olympics on an unprecedented scale. The first report was released in July, which recommended a blanket ban on Russian athletes indefinitely. The Syrian army has granted a group of journalists access to recaptured areas of Aleppo, and the video reveals the extent of the devastation brought on by airstrikes and fighting in neighborhoods once held by rebel fighters. Government forces say they've recaptured most of Aleppo, or what's left of it, but rebels still control some areas of the city and are reported to have taken a number of civilian hostages. Syrian's president says reclaiming the city will be a major landmark in the battle against rebels. The fighting's not over yet. Rebels still control several parts of southern Syria. The civil war began in 2011 and has claimed nearly 500,000 lives so far. To Cairo now, where a roadside bomb has killed 6 people. According to the Interior Ministry, the bomb detonated near a security checkpoint. The attack was close to a government building in a middle-class neighborhood. It was latest in a series of security incidents in Egypt. Security sources say there's been no claim of responsibility. Search and rescue operations are nearing an end in Aceh, Indonesia. A 6.5 magnitude earthquake hit the area on Wednesday. Quake survivors prayed next to a collapsed mosque. The quake toppled dozens of buildings, injured hundreds of people, and was the worst disaster to hit the region since the 2004 tsunami. Officials say nearly all of the victims have been identified now. The province of Aceh has declared a 2-week state of emergency. Dramatic pictures today from Mexico. Take a look at this footage of the latest volcanic eruption. Residents of Colima in Jalisco woke up to spewing lava and clouds of ash last night. The volcano erupted 4 times over the course of the night. Mexico has more than 3,000 volcanoes, but only 14 are considered active. Former U.S. astronaut and Senator John Glenn has died. Glenn was a pioneer in the U.S. space program. He gained fame as the first American to orbit the Earth on February 20th, 1962. Glenn was credited with reviving U.S. pride after the Soviet Union's early domination of manned space exploration. He later entered politics and was elected Senator of Ohio 3 times. He was a war hero and the last living member of the Mercury 7, the first astronauts in the American space program. Glenn died yesterday, a week after he was hospitalized for an unknown illness. He was 95. It's been over 30 years since the province updated its child protection laws, but a proposed bill in Queen's Park could change that. Our reporter Hunter Crowther has the story.
So I'm here to tell you today that out of all of this, at the end of the day, we're here to make change.
A new bill presented in Queen's Park could kickstart a massive overhaul of Ontario's child protection laws. If passed, the bill, officially known as the Child, Youth and Family Services Act of 2016, would make children the primary focus of decision-making in regards to child services. The motivation for the act comes from a coroner's inquest into the death of 7-year-old Caitlin Sampson, who was killed by her legal guardians in 2008. Caitlin's principle was created, stating children must be listened to and respected when decisions are made about their welfare. One of the key changes is raising the age of protection from 16 to 18. In their press release, the Ontario government says this was to ensure protection services are provided for vulnerable youth living in crisis situations. The new bill would expand support for at-risk youth education and to reduce homelessness and human trafficking. Minister of Children and Youth Services Michael Couteau, who introduced the bill in Queen's Park Thursday, says fatherhood and his role as a public servant made this piece of legislation of the utmost importance. In a statement, Couteau said, "We need to give young people a voice in decisions around their care and protection. It's clear to me that in order to build that system, we need to make drastic change to pave the way for services that are much more accountable and responsive." Other potential shifts in Ontario's child laws include culturally appropriate changes for anyone in the child welfare system, including Indigenous and Black children and youth. Ontario's Children Aid Society CEO Mary Ballantyne says her organization welcomes the chance to work with government and to reform the children welfare system. Ballantyne said, "We are particularly pleased to see the age of protection raised to 18, and we are delighted by the ministry's continued support of the One Vision, One Voice project to improve outcomes for African Canadian children and families who come into contact with the child welfare system."
Last year, 113,000 families are provided services from the province's Children Aid Society. That's after a 19% decrease since 2009. A 2-year expansion of the age of protection will surely add to that. Hunter Crowther, Humber News.
Here at home, the Toronto Transit Commission will be introducing random drug and alcohol testing starting March 1st. The TTC says workers who are responsible for the safety of employees and the public will undergo tests which will determine if they are impaired. In a statement, the TTC says there has been a 200% increase in workplace impairments and test refusals between 2011 to 2015. It says random testing will act as a deterrent for those who may otherwise come to work unfit for duty. The transit union that represents 10,000 workers intends to file a court injunction against the program. The president of the union says the members are furious and the TTC doesn't have the justification to conduct the program legally. An investigation is underway at the Calgary Zoo. 7 penguins drown at the zoo's back holding area. The penguin plunge attraction is under construction right now. Zoo officials say the penguins may have submerged in panic. This isn't the first marine animal drowning at the Calgary Zoo. The previous drowning was of an otter that got tangled in some clothing. Turning to other news, the robot revolution is on its way, but don't be afraid. It's far more likely we'll be learning to work with them rather than for them. Ken Keller attended a panel all about the rise of the robots in our world and brings us this report.
The future of robotics probably isn't going to look this retro.
Coming, sir. Here I am, sir.
And it probably won't be this explosive either. In fact, it'll probably look just like this guy. Meet Dexter. This little robot is the face of a new wave of technology looking to integrate the science of robotics into the everyday world. Dexter is a robot that can be easily programmed by its owner, helping to teach everyone about coding, what experts believe will be the future of most of the ways we work, learn, and play. The DMZ at Ryerson University hosted a panel of tech and business experts yesterday to talk about the inevitability of a mostly automated world and the importance of preparing for it. The panel spoke about the fact that as our technologies advance and robots capable of deep learning are integrated into our workplaces, our understanding of the way they work will need to become second nature.
You know, this whole conversation about coding as a skill is actually missing the point. It's the need to understand the software world, much like we understand the written world and books. And I think what we're trying to get at is a software competency level, so that not everybody becomes coders, but that everybody actually can look at it and understand it. And I think when you do that, the concept of collaboration changes.
The event also hosted a number of hands-on trials, from Dexter to virtual reality, to show off some of the ways that we're already preparing for the future. The virtual reality software Pinch was on hand to show one way that tech can and will influence the way we learn. However, Sean Mullen, the executive director of the Brookfield Institute, explained to the audience that human experience is one tool that can never be automated.
People here, who are, whether they're aware of it or not, are participating in experiential learning and getting a lot of the experiences that I do not think can be easily disrupted by automation. So I think that's the future of learning.
So take heart that even though the robots of the near future won't look like Bender, they'll still look like Dexter and his miniature counterpart. And you'll probably be working with something very like it very soon. Ken Keller, Humber News.
If you're at Humber today, why not add a little bit of greenery to your dorm or a friend's house? Sveta Soloviva tells us how.
How do you choose a perfect plant for your home? Humber Arboretum workers are right here to help. Tropical plants, cactuses, and flowers are on holiday sale at the Humber Concourse.
The first snowfall isn't bothering greeneries at Humber Arboretum. Aloe vera, winter cherries, tomatoes, cactuses, and ficus trees, there is a choice for everyone. Some of the plants will clean the air in your room, others will just make your office prettier. The plants range in price from $5 to $30, and they are all raised and cared for by the Arboretum work and study students. The students are carrying more and more plants to the concourse and helping customers make the right choice.
Well, you need to consider where this plant's going to be, whether it's going to receive enough light, whether you're going to be around enough to water it as it needs.
Dorskin says the easiest plant to take care of is Sansevieria because it requires very little light and can live for a long time without any attention. A coordinator of student diversity and inclusion initiatives at Humber, Neteri Elisha, just bought her Sansevieria.
So I asked one of the people here who was very helpful. I needed a plant that was good in low light. So that's what helped me with my choice today. Yeah.
With the colder weather and holidays coming, plants may become your irreplaceable friends.
The weather changing, we're not seeing as much greenery, so it's nice to be able to surround yourself with green things near your space, in your office or at home. So
a lot of the plants we have today also purify the air in your home, and so I think, yeah, it's great to have greenery in your home, and it's a great gift for the holidays as well.
All the money from the sale will go to Humber Arboretum. Sveta Soloviva, Humber News.
When we come back, we'll tell you what's happening in the world of sports, and Natalie Dixon will have your 3-day forecast.
Get your scarf and mitts out. It's going to be a cold one. All of your 3-day weather forecast after the break.
The winter snow has some Canadians in a rut, but these students on the West Coast found a strange way to appreciate the polar temperatures.
Okay, take your marks. Go!
The swim club from Simon Fraser University in BC skipped the pool for the snow-kissed football field. Equipped with snow caps and Speedos, the first-year students embraced the first major snow in Metro Vancouver since 2014. The club was out in full force to indulge in the hypothermic conditions. Knee-deep in snow, they swam their laps that may have left one or two with frostbite.